These are 7 pro gamblers who actually beat sports betting markets for insane amounts of money. You won't have heard of some of them because they're so secretive, but their strategies are genius and unique, with all of them thinking well outside of the box. So if you're into sports betting, then this is going to be a must watch. First up is Tony Bloom, the now owner and majority shareholder of Brighton Football Club. However, what the masses don't realise is this guy's billion-dollar valuation has been built entirely on sports betting, in particular via football. Now, Bloom started out in poker, but his skills transitioned to sports betting after the 1998 World Cup. His secret weapon is a proprietary algorithm that analyses football data in line with historical betting odds. By using statistics and probability, he bets millions at a time via betting exchanges and sharp Asian sportsbooks. After leaving Victor Chandler and going it alone in 2002, things really kicked off for Tony. Although very secretive, it's believed that his early focus was on the misalignment between betting odds and real world value when it comes to players that were injured. This led him to create Star Lizard, taking analysis of sport into a completely different league. Shrewd pricing metrics and a systematic approach made him extremely wealthy very quickly in the early 2000s. But his smarts didn't end there, as he reinvested his winnings in multiple undervalued ventures such as the Seagulls, a move that had him dubbed the cleverest man in the Premier League. Now, very few make it to Tony's inner circle, so it's difficult to identify his true net worth, but based on assets alone, it's believed to be well over 1 billion, with a B. But Tony isn't the only one with a savage sports betting strategy. Next, we've got Bernardmarantelli, a professional gambler and the founder of Colossus Bets. Who? Yeah, the wider public here probably won't have heard of him, but Marantelli was born into an Australian bookmaking family. Early on, he became interested in pool betting. Hidden in the shadows, he's one of the brightest minds in betting, having won the Scoop 6 on several occasions and many sports betting pools around the world. He's a betting pioneer that's banked many millions. His strategy involves identifying when the value of a betting pool exceeds the risk of playing. When the time is right, he buys masses of tickets very quickly. This pooling of large amounts of money within an even bigger betting pool increases the chances of winning it significantly. Now, obviously, this means he doesn't win every time, but because he's already run the numbers, he wins far more than he loses. Identifying inflated betting pools where there are certain combinations that are less likely to be selected isn't new. It's how some of the smartest players have won world lotteries, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bernard has either, to be honest. Having met him in the past, he's an intensely bright guy. Marantelli's platform offers innovative betting pools with life-changing jackpots. It's no surprise that he should start his own sports betting pool, given the nature of his own experiences and strategy. And speaking of strategies, the next gambler used insider knowledge to his advantage, because Billy Walters is a legend when it comes to sports betting in the US. Walters' career spans over 3 decades and also comes with a lot of controversy, mainly because of his potential involvement with mob figures and later insider trading scandals. However, it's not all dodgy stuff. He was amongst a group of people who developed computer algorithms to identify value in sports betting markets. Then, after being banned from many of Vegas's biggest sportsbooks, he masterminded a network of anonymous bet runners who would put money down for him. Many of them had no idea what was actually going on. Billy's later strategy was also built around manipulating sports betting lines in a legitimate way. It's believed that he would frequently target sports bets where there were only 2 outcomes. First, he would bet heavily on the bet that he didn't want. Then, once a sportsbook would adjust their betting odds and increase the alternate betting line, his team of bet runners would hit it even harder, exploiting that massive value in the process. His most famous win came in 2010 when he reportedly made $3.5 million betting on the New Orleans Saints to win the Super Bowl. Now, despite the controversial end with legal troubles, Walters' sports betting career earnings are in the hundreds of millions, with his assets surpassing 200 million at one point. Next, let's move on to a very different genius who outsmarted the bookies in the UK. As a Cambridge mathematics graduate, he turned his number crunching skills and high-end connections into a profitable sports betting career. In his book, he said that he took the bookies for over £10 million. I've read it myself, and Patrick Veitch meticulously plans everything he does. Now, some of you will probably know him from the 2004 betting coup, where a largely unknown horse was bet from 100 to 1 into 8 to 1 before annihilating the competition. Now, Veach's strategy involves detailed analysis, insider connections, and exploiting bookmakers' value. He was one of the first people to time his horse's performance in private before applying it to an up-and-coming race. This is how he knows if he's getting value in a bet or not. But Veach's past has also been full of problems. Winning bets sometimes draw the wrong attention. For a period, his sports betting exploits meant he had to go in hiding. The details are in his book and it's well worth the read. But the next gambler's operation is massive in comparison to Veach's 10 million, because Željko Ranjovic, often referred to as the Joker or John Wilson, has pulled the strings on much of the world's betting for decades. Betting companies live in fear of him. Cutting his teeth at blackjack, he quickly moved on to winning mini lotteries known as Keno, and the Australian tax office even went after him at one point. He himself is estimated his sports betting turnover at $1 billion per year, and that was back in 2012. Much like Marelli, he's heavily invested in betting pools, mini lotteries and sports betting on the world's largest betting exchange, Betfair. Supposedly, back in 2012, he was estimated to be around 33% of the money on the exchange. Similar to Bloom, Ranjovic's approach involves advanced data modelling to exploit tiny edges for huge money regularly. He also employs a team of analysts to study patterns in odds and sports around the world. Ranjovic's exact earnings are a closely guarded secret, although it's pretty hard to hide when you're buying apartments and mansions in One Hyde Park and Queensland. Everything points towards multi-billionaire. Next up, we have the master of NBA sports betting. Most of you probably won't have heard of him, although he's the most successful NBA bettor. He spotted a loophole in the total points lines provided by sportsbooks. His name is Haralabos Voulgaris. Is that how you say it? Voulgaris' strategy focused on in-game points lines for the first and second halves of a game. He realised that despite there being more points scored in the second half of a game, much like in football, the bookies hadn't been making the necessary adjustments. So quite simply, he identified the true value and then exploited the hell out of these betting lines. His strategy worked much like some of the most popular ones today, except on a bigger scale. Voulgaris' sports betting success even led to a role with the Dallas Mavericks, where he applied his analytical skills to team strategy. At his highest point, he was staking over $1 million with the major casino sportsbooks, although after generating $7 million in profit, the house caught on and rectified their routine mistake. Now finally, let's meet the man who turned horse racing into a science. Perhaps he's the biggest legend of all of these. Here's how and why. Because Bill Benter cracked horse racing long before many were even considering his methods. Using mathematical smarts and his own skills in software development back when home computers first started, he created an algorithm so sophisticated it once allowed him to win $118 million in one day. Mixing in similar circles as Ranjovic, he started out card counting and quickly moved on to pari-mutuel betting pools in Hong Kong. He consistently beat what is effectively the Chinese tote. His sports betting strategy involved an algorithm that factored in 130 different variables, including horse form, track conditions and jockey data to effectively pick a winner. He then took it one step further and included live betting pool data to optimise for maximum profits. His life is a story that, quite frankly, should be a movie, as he then went on to give away a lot of his money via philanthropy. Well, I say a lot. Given his continued interest, he's probably still winning massive amounts of money right now. If you want to learn some sports betting strategies that are still working right now, then check out this next video here in the end screen. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.